Heartwarming twist. Millionaire's $30 billion secret revealed he chose his mother over his pregnant wife. Jack Hudson was hardly a stranger to struggle. At just 38, he'd risen from the dust of a fading farm to become a self-made millionaire, all thanks to the factory he built to breathe life back into his quaint American town. But beneath his grit and determination lay an undeniable tension, the kind that could unravel a person like a frayed rope. His beautiful wife, Sarah, was pregnant and feeling profoundly alone as Jack's dreams consumed him. He remembered the joy in her laughter, but lately, silence shrouded their home, thickening the air with unspoken words and hidden worries. The Hudson farmhouse, where they held Sunday dinners enveloped by the sweet smell of cornfields, suddenly felt more like a museum than a sanctuary. Jack would sit at the head of the table, surrounded by his family, and savor the laughter, but his heart ached at the thought of his wife quietly watching him from the sidelines. The factory hum became the soundtrack of their lives, forever intertwining the scent of machinery with the nostalgia of their simpler times. As if the universe wanted to drive the point home, Martha, Jack's beloved mother, fell gravely ill. The fierce, resilient woman who raised him alone was now vulnerable, tethered to hospital sheets and flickering machines. Jack's heart shattered, caught between duty to the woman who sacrificed everything for him and the looming expectations of fatherhood. A choice lay heavy in his gut. Would he uphold the legacy of his family trade or hold the hand of his wife as they welcomed their child into the world? A damp chill settled around him as he rehearsed the words he would say at the upcoming town hall meeting. Would the community see him as a hero or a failure? Whispers darted among neighbors' unfounded judgments designed to slice through his resolve. Just as he thought he might handle both the factory and his family, Sarah confronted him, her frustration boiling over. It was a life-altering moment, and Jack could feel the heat of his self-imposed exile home crashing down around him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. To add to the storm, a secret surfaced from Martha's past, one with threads woven deep into the fabric of their wealth. It flipped everything Jack believed about success on its head. The weight of realization crashed over him like the thunder of an approaching storm, and he knew the roots of his family's legacy were tangled with the struggles of his neighbors. At the town hall meeting, he felt that shared burden on his shoulders, the anxious breaths of the crowd upon him. As he stood before his friends and family, the atmosphere was electric, pregnant with the unspoken questions they all shared. Would he champion the factory at the expense of everything he held dear? The anticipation was suffocating, a silent crowd just waiting for the words that could reshape their futures. He felt his heart racing as he approached the mic, his mouth dry and throat constricted. Would he honor his mother's sacrifices or embrace the family he'd begun? Every eye in the room was locked onto him, teetering on the edges of hope and fear. What would Jack choose? The answer could alter everything. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the room pressing down on his shoulders. His hand trembled slightly as he adjusted the microphone. Every face blurred into a sea of expectation, and it felt like he was staring into a mirror that reflected all his fears and failures. Could he articulate the tumult of emotions swirling inside him? The right words felt like a distant shore just out of reach. "Thank you all for coming," he finally managed, his voice steadier than he felt. The crowd seemed to lean closer, as if they were collectively holding their breath. He glanced at Sarah, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, and then at Martha, weak yet proud, lying in a hospital bed fighting for every breath. The spotlight threw shadows across his face, but the real battle was internal. He paused, allowing silence to blanket the room like a heavy fog before continuing. "I stand before you today not just as a businessman, but as a son and a husband." The words tumbled out, each syllable heavier than the last. I've spent so long chasing success, believing it was my way of honoring my parents and securing a future for my family. The murmurs from the crowd began to quiet, his sincerity catching their attention. I built this factory to create jobs, to revive a community. He gestured around him, but in doing so, I've neglected the most important part of being a leader of family. Those words struck a chord. He could see nods of empathy rippling through the audience. I thought my success would buy us happiness, he continued, his voice now filled with raw emotion. But I stood on that pedestal alone, my wife hurting, my mother battling illness. I realize now I was wrong. Our worth is not measured by our bank accounts, but by the connections we foster and the love we show. Jack's heart raced. He was feeling the power of vulnerability in a way he had never before experienced. So today, as hopes and dreams swirl together, I'm faced with a choice. Do I chase more? His voice wavered. Or do I fight for my family? For you all? The room swelled with anticipation, the energy palpable. Jack took another breath, channeling every ounce of clarity into his next words that had the potential to reshape his life and the lives of those he cherished. I choose family. His voice rang out, firm and resolute. I choose to care for my mother and be present for my child. I ask for your understanding as I step back from the demands of the factory. A wave of murmurs erupted as Jack's statement settled over the crowd. Some exchanged incredulous looks, others whispers of support. Jack felt a rush of vulnerability, revealing a deeper truth. It was a gamble that could either uplift him or knock him down. I'm not merely giving up on the factory, he added, feeling the need to clarify. I'm making space to rebuild myself, my priorities, my values. He felt a warmth spreading through the audience, acceptance beginning to fill the void where judgment once lay. Just as pride had made it difficult for him to see his way through, humility now offered a bridge towards what mattered most. As Jack witnessed the flicker of hope ignite in the eyes of his audience, a sudden weight lifted. This was no longer just a speech. It was a promise. But as applause started to fill the hall, a distant siren began to wail. Jack froze, heart thumping in his chest. What he didn't expect was the emergency lights flashing outside the very lives he chose to prioritize could also be hanging in the balance. Could this choice put his entire world in jeopardy all over again? The door burst open, and an urgent voice called Jack's name. Jack's heart raced as he turned toward the door, the applause from the audience fading into a distant hum. The figure framed in the doorway was clearly in a hurry, urgency etched into his features. Jack, we need you. It was Tom, his right-hand man, his breathing heavy and frantic. It's about your mom, the hospital called. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. Panic surged through him like a tidal wave, overwhelming the feeling of empowerment from moments ago. The warmth that had spread through the crowd evaporated, replaced by a chill of trepidation. What happened? Jack asked, his voice cracking, the earlier confidence replaced by dread. An emergency. The doctors are saying it's serious. We have to go now. He glanced back at Sarah, who was sitting wide-eyed, the tears in her eyes now real and glistening. The weight of the world pressed hard on Jack's chest. Everything he had just promised, the man he declared he wanted to be, seemed to dangle by a thread. Let us go, he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. He rushed toward the door, the crowd parting to let him through, their sympathy now a backdrop to his tumultuous worry. He needed to be with his mother. She had fought so long, and Jack couldn't bear the thought of losing her now. As Jack and Tom sprinted to the parking lot, every step echoed the fears he had battled silently. Would he have the chance to make things right? To show Martha that his love was more than mere words? Was it too late for a family that had begun to fracture? Within minutes, they were speeding toward the hospital, the streetlights blurring into streaks of gold. Jack's hands gripped the seat. Tom glanced briefly at him, sensing the turmoil. Jack, you did the right thing. You are choosing family. Your mom knows you love her, Tom said, trying to reach through Jack's tangled thoughts. It shouldn't have come to this, Jack whispered, feeling the weight of regret settle heavily. I thought I still had time. The emergency room light glared down as they pushed through the doors, their haste met by the sterile smell of antiseptic and the urgency of medical staff. Jack's breath quickened. The reality of his mother being on the brink tugged at his heart. He approached the nurse's station, his voice surprisingly calm as he asked for information, though inside, he felt like he was unraveling. "She's stabilized for now," a nurse said, looking up. "But we're monitoring closely. The family is allowed in." With that, a rush of relief and fear swirled through him. Jack took a moment to gather himself, remembering the crowd that had just applauded his decision to prioritize family. He dashed to his mother's room, pushing past doubts and insecurities, desperate to see her. As he entered, Martha lay pale against the sheets, machines softly beeping and humming around her. She looked small, fragile. Jack felt a lump in his throat as he stepped closer. "Mama," he whispered, feeling tears stinging his eyes. He took her frail hand in his, squeezing it gently. Her eyelids fluttered open, and the hint of a smile touched her lips. "Jack," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're here, I'm here, Mama." "I'm so sorry." "I'm here." Each word curled around the remorse that had taken residence in his heart as he squeezed her hand tighter. But as he sat there, heartache draped across his shoulders, a thought flickered uninvited. Was coming back to his roots enough to hold his family together? Was he strong enough to balance everything without losing everything? Just outside the door, Tom lingered, and Jack's thoughts raced ahead. If he chose family, was he really prepared for what that meant? Across the hospital, Sarah waited, her own heart heavy with uncertainty, while Jack faced the most crucial decision of all. A choice that would redefine everything. Would his desire to fix the family he had neglected lead him to confront the consequences of his absence? Something told him this moment would change everything. The next chapter loomed, thick with possibility. Jack sat by his mother's bedside, her weak fingers feeling like a lifeline he clung to. Every beep of the machine resonated like a ticking clock, counting down the moments he could spend with her. The air was heavy, filled with unsaid words, regrets, and unfulfilled promises. "Mama, I should have been here more." His voice caught in his throat. The tears he had held back surged forth, flowing freely as he spoke. "I'm so sorry for everything." Martha's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she tried to lift a hand to stroke his cheek, but her strength had waned. "Jack, life is too short for regrets. We can't change the past. Time, it's precious. Don't waste it." Her words felt like a gentle balm on the wounds he wore so openly. He met her gaze, seeing the love reflected back, mingling with pain. She had always been his guiding star, and now in her fragility, she still managed to shine bright. "Promise me," Martha said, her voice trembling but determined. "Promise me you won't let this tear you apart from Sarah. You'll need each other, especially now." Jack winced at the mention of Sarah. Yes, he loved her dearly, but everything felt like a tangled mess. Could he truly hold on to both the new family he had with her and the one that had been frayed for so long? Torn between two worlds, he felt a chasm widening in his heart. "I don't know, Mama, things are complicated." "Life is complicated," Martha whispered, closing her eyes for a moment. "But love is simple. Love is what binds us, what you both need to hold on to." Overwhelmed by emotion, Jack took a deep breath. His mother's insight was both comforting and painful. He had put his ambitions first, chasing dreams that led him away from the very foundation of his being. But could he find a way to merge the two sides of his heart? The door creaked softly, pulling Jack's attention. Tom eased into the room, his expression somber. "Hey, Jack. I just spoke with the doctor. They want to run a few more tests." Jack nodded absently, but his gaze flickered back to Martha. She smiled softly at him, a flicker of faith in her eyes. It was as if she believed he could make the right choice. But would he? "Jack," Tom said, breaking the silence. "You need to think about what happens next. You're at a crossroads. Whatever you decide will affect everyone." "I know," Jack replied, the weight of that realization pressing down like a heavy cloak. He glanced back at his mother, who watched him with pride and perhaps a touch of hope. "But I don't want to choose one over the other. I want to be a part of both worlds." "Then fight for it," Tom urged. "Show Sarah what family means. Show your mother that her sacrifices mattered. Fight for your love. It's worth it." With a renewed sense of determination, Jack felt the color flood back to his cheeks. He squeezed his mother's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her life encouraging him. "I will, Mama. I promise." Martha's smile deepened, but then a fleeting look crossed her face, something nagging beneath the surface. A hint of fear that seemed to shroud her strength. "Just remember, Jack, love can be tested in ways we would never expect. Don't let it slip through your fingers." He nodded, though unease settled in his gut. What did she mean? What more could come his way? But before he could voice the question, a nurse entered, bustling with clipboards and a bright demeanor that shone against the dull hospital walls. "Mrs. Green, ready for some tests?" she asked, her tone reassuring. Jack stepped back instinctively, giving his mother space, and watched the nurse engage with her gently. Feeling the need to step outside for fresh air, he slipped into the hallway but was quickly caught up in his thoughts. Could he truly balance the love of two families? Just then, Tom approached, concern etched on his face. "Jack, we can't keep ignoring Sarah. She's waiting worried sick," he said softly, grounding Jack in reality. The tension built inside him. Jack's heart raced, caught between love for his mother and his commitment to Sarah. What would be waiting for him when he stepped back into that world? A strong wave of regret washed over him. Was he ready to confront the paths he had neglected? With determination coursing through him, Jack took a deep breath, ready to make a decision that could change everything. But doubts nagged at him what would happen next. He turned back and saw Tom looking at him expectantly. "You need to choose, Jack," and at that moment, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket, the screen lighting up with a message. He pulled it out, scanning the words. His heart skipped a beat as he read the message from Sarah. "I need to talk. Please come home." Could he truly face the consequences of his choices? Would he be strong enough to face Sarah's fears as well as his own? As he stood there in the hallway, the weight of everything pressed down, guiding him forward into the unknown. Jack's heart raced as he read Sarah's message over and over, each time feeling a new wave of panic wash over him. Please come home. What did that even mean? He shoved his phone back in his pocket, his thoughts spiraling. Home was supposed to be warm and inviting, filled with laughter and love. But now it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure of whether to leap or retreat. He could feel the weight of his mother's illness heavy on his shoulders. Could he face Sarah? Would she understand the turmoil inside him? Tom leaned against the wall, watching him with care. "You okay, buddy?" Jack shook his head, barely able to speak. "No. I don't know what to do." "Jack," Tom's tone was firm but calm, "whatever is going on with Sarah, you need to show her you're there for her. It's not fair to leave her in the dark." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling to the surface. "She has her own fears to deal with. I thought I could support her, but how can I when my mom needs me too?" Tom stepped closer, a serious look on his face. "You've got to be strong for them both. You love Sarah. You love your mom. You can't fix this overnight, but you can choose to be there for them. You owe it to them, and you owe it to yourself." "I know, I feel so torn." Jack's voice was barely a whisper, the weight of his thoughts choking him. As if sensing his turmoil, a nurse walked by, her smile brightening the bleak corridor. "Excuse me, are you Jack?" "Yes. Mrs. Green will be in for tests shortly. The doctor just wanted me to let you know it could take a while." "Thank you," he muttered, feeling a rush of gratitude for the brief respite from his chaotic thoughts. But as the nurse walked away, the reality hit him hard again. His mother was in the hospital, and Sarah was waiting at home. The idea of facing Sarah gnawed at him. What if she thought he didn't care? But could he explain himself properly? "Tom, what if she's angry?" "Then let her be angry. She deserves to know how you feel. You two have something worth fighting for," Tom replied, his voice steady and reassuring. Jack bit his lip, part of him wanting to run home while another part wanted to stay here, anchored beside Martha. The world felt heavy and confusing, an emotional storm swirling around him. He stepped back towards his mother's room, a tug of loyalty pulling him inside. Every minute spent with her felt sacred. He needed to soak in every precious moment, because soon, it might be different forever. As he opened the door, He was greeted by Martha's soft smile, even in her frail state. "Jack, my love, you're losing time." "I know, Mama. I need to figure things out first." "Then you need to go to Sarah," she urged gently, her eyes sharp with wisdom. "I can feel that hesitation in your heart." Jack closed his eyes, sensing the truth in her words. "I don't want to let you down. You won't just honestly show Sarah your heart. That's the only way." Jack opened his eyes, recognizing her strength coursing through him. His love wasn't divided, it was part of one whole family that he somehow had to piece together. He made a decision. He had to go home, but he'd return. With renewed strength, he embraced his mother softly, holding tight a moment longer. "I love you, Mama. I love you too, Jack. Always." As he turned to leave, he couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. He felt lighter, but trepidation lingered in the back of his mind. What would await him at home? Swallowing hard, he made his way through the hospital hallways towards the exit. He needed to face Sarah, confront the fears, and embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. But the question loomed heavily. Would she be waiting with open arms or a heart full of hurt? Jack stepped into the fresh air, hoping it would wash away some of the heaviness he carried inside. He pulled out his phone, staring at Sarah's text again, contemplating. With each step closer to his car, he understood that life wasn't simple. Choices needed courage. But could he summon that courage? As he slid into the driver's seat, his heart thundered. He was on a collision course with destiny. His phone buzzed once more, and he glimpsed the notification. "Where are you?" The question echoed loudly in the silence, gnawing at him. Taking a deep breath, Jack revved the engine, ready to confront the fears that awaited him. Would he be enough? His journey home had begun, but the real challenge awaited. The drive felt endless as Jack navigated through familiar streets, each turn accentuating his growing anxiety. He could picture Sarah waiting at home, her face a mix of worry and disappointment. Would she understand when he told her everything? The weight of his mother's condition sat heavily in his stomach, intertwining with the fear of facing Sarah. As he pulled into the driveway, the sight of their home flooded him with memories, laughter, late-night talks, and dreams shared over cups of coffee. He took a deep breath, knowing he needed to step inside and face whatever storm awaited him. Jack climbed out of the car and hesitated for a moment. The air buzzed with anticipation. He had to find the right words. Should he start with an apology or simply be honest? Pushing open the front door, he was immediately enveloped in silence. The rich scent of her cherry blossom candles filled the air, a signature of Sarah's warmth. He glanced around, hoping to see her, but the emptiness sent a jolt of dread through him. "Sarah?" His voice broke the stillness, echoing through the hallway. "Jack?" She appeared from the kitchen, her eyes wide with surprise. "You're home." He wanted to run to her, to pull her into his arms, yet he was rooted in place, his heart racing. "I got your message. I thought I should come back." "Okay." She stepped closer, her brow furrowing in concern. "What is going on?" He opened his mouth, but the words were stuck, tangled in his throat like an old piece of rope. "It's my mom," he finally managed. "She's not well. I was at the hospital all day." Her expression softened, confusion giving way to understanding. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" I thought I could handle everything," he admitted, horror creeping into his voice. "But I was wrong, Sarah. I don't want to be torn apart. I want to be here for you," but his voice trailed off. Jack caught sight of her hands, trembling slightly. She wrapped her arms around herself as if trying to shield her own heart from the impact of his words. He could feel the distance growing, yet he felt desperate to bridge it. "I'm scared," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I thought I was losing you. With everything going on, how do I know you still care?" The question hit him hard. It was a punch to the gut. "I do, Sarah. More than anything. This situation with my mom, it's not about you or me. I need you to understand." Tears pooled in her eyes, and he felt his chest constrict. "It's so overwhelming. I feel like I'm losing you to something I can't fight against." "Please don't think that," he implored, stepping closer, needing to connect with her on some level. "I love you. But there's so much happening right now. I just want to make the right choices for all of us. Do you really think we can make it through this? Her voice wavered, and the vulnerability in her eyes pierced him. Yes, he replied firmly, holding her gaze. I can't promise it will be easy, but I think we can do it together. I just need you to trust me. Silence hung between them, a heavy moment filled with unsaid words and fears. Jack reached out, brushing her arm gently. The electricity of connection sparked something deep inside him, a reminder of what they had built together. But as Sarah looked away, Jack noticed something in her demeanor, a flicker of uncertainty. I'm here now, let us talk, he said, desperately wanting to reassure her. Jack, it's not just about this moment, she started, her voice catching. It's about everything that's happening. What if we can't? I believe we can, he interrupted, urgency filling his voice. Yet he felt a knot tightening in his chest. What if she didn't believe him? What if all this pain was pushing them beyond the brink? As he prepared to bridge the gap, the air was tense with possibilities, and dread settled into the pit of his stomach. Just then, his phone buzzed again, cutting through the tension. Ignoring it, he focused entirely on Sarah. But the question lingered. Was it truly possible to salvage their love amidst the chaos, or was he fighting a losing battle? Jack reached for her, wanting nothing more than to pull her close, but would she let him? The moment Jack's fingers brushed against Sarah's skin, a charge pulsed through him. It was like a lifeline thrown in turbulent waters, reminding him of the connection they shared, the good times, the best times. But his heart sank as he watched her step back, just out of reach, her vulnerability weighing heavy. Jack, I don't want to compete with your mom's illness. I can't help but feel like I'm not enough when things get tough, she said quietly, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. No, Jack whispered, desperate to break through the barrier between them. You are more than enough. You are my everything. Her eyes glistened, reflecting a swirl of emotions. But I'm scared of where this is going. I feel lost. She glanced down, as if she could find answers in the patterns of the carpet between them. Jack's heart squeezed tightly, understanding the weight of her fears. He let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. I know it's a lot to ask. I wish I could change things. But you need to know that I need you now more than ever. We are in this together. I can't do it without you. Sarah looked up, searching his face for sincerity, for hope. How can I trust that? The question hung raw in the air, laden with pain. Jack's mind raced as seconds ticked away. How about we take this one step at a time? We'll divide this burden. I'll handle my mom and you can help me through it. Just let me know you're still with me. A tear slipped down her cheek, leaving a stark trail. This all feels so uncertain. I'm not sure I can handle seeing you go through so much. Jack's heart cracked a little more. I need to be strong for both of us. And while we're at it, he touched her cheek gently. Give me that strength too? She nodded slowly, vulnerability softening her eyes. Okay, we can try. One step at a time. Even with her consent, dread hung like a storm cloud above, ready to unleash its fury. Jack couldn't shake the fear that this moment was just a temporary reprieve from a much larger battle. But just then his phone buzzed again, louder this time. He glanced at the screen, the glow revealing an expected call from his sister. His stomach turned. I should take this, he said reluctantly. Is everything okay? Sarah asked, her expression shifting from concern to furrowed brow. Yeah, he sighed, running a hand through his hair. I'll find out now. Sarah's voice was soft, but firm, like she was pulling him back into the moment. He met her gaze once more, holding it as if there was nothing else in the world. Together, remember? He reminded her. As he answered the call, a wave of apprehension came crashing over him. This wasn't just about him. This was about his family. And now, with Sarah in the mix, the stakes had escalated. Hey, what's up? He answered, trying to sound casual. Jack, you need to come to the hospital. It's urgent. His sister's voice trembled, a sound that chilled him to the bone. The air went cold around him, and he felt Sarah's worried eyes on him, urging for answers. The tremors in his hands returned as his heart raced. What do you mean urgent? It's Mom. She took a turn for the worse, his sister said, her voice breaking. Jack's world tilted on its axis. He didn't just need to focus on his mother anymore. He had to tell Sarah the truth that loomed heavy like a storm. With one heartbeat, he realized that their fragile connection, still being stitched together, might face an even deeper test. As he hung up, he turned to Sarah, ready for the flood of emotions he would have to unload. Would they make it through this new wave of challenges together, or was this the moment where everything began to unravel? Sarah, he started, his voice trembling with hidden terror, knowing this was only the beginning of their fight. What would she say when he told her the truth? Would it push her away, or draw them closer together? Jack's heart raced as he looked into Sarah's eyes. He could see the confusion and concern swirling in her gaze. The air between them felt different now, heavier, as if they were teetering on the edge of something unknown. "Jack, what happened?" Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling with apprehension. He raked his fingers through his hair, feeling the weight of her questions settle deep within him. Every part of him wanted to protect her from the storm brewing around them. But he knew that withholding the truth would only create more distance. "My mom, she's really sick. We need to get to the hospital. Now." "What do you mean?" Sarah's expression shifted, fear creeping into her features. "Is she okay?" "I don't know. That's the problem. I have to go," he admitted, feeling the desperation creeping into his voice. "I have to be there for her." For a brief moment, silence filled the space between them. Time felt like it was hanging in the balance. Jack caught the small tremor in Sarah's hands as she tried to process his words. "Jack, wait," she said, stepping closer again, the distance they'd just bridged now threatening to expand once more. "You can't just leave without telling me what's going on." His heart sank. He wanted to tell her everything, the fear, the anger, the overwhelming sadness, but the words stuck in his throat. "It's complicated," he finally said, frustration spilling from him as he turned away, as if that could somehow shield her from the chaos. "Complicated?" Her voice rose slightly, filled with a mix of hurt and urgency. "I can't help if I don't know what I'm dealing with." Taking a deep breath, he turned back to face her, realizing that he couldn't keep going around in circles. "Mom is in serious condition," he said, each word like a weight on his chest. "They think she might not make it. My sister, she needs me there. I can't do this without you, but I can't drag you into my family's mess either." "Jack," Sarah's eyes softened, her vulnerability shimmering like the faintest light in the dark. "You don't have to handle this alone. I'm here. Please, let me be with you." There it was again, the lifeline he so desperately needed. His heart swelled with a mix of gratitude and fear. But could he truly let her in? Could he allow her to witness the worst parts of his life? "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice trembling. The thought of dragging her into the depths of his family's pain both scared and relieved him. "I'm sure," she said firmly, reaching for his hand, her touch grounding him. "Whatever it takes. We are in this together, right?" Jack felt the urge to resist, to tell her that this was his burden to bear. But the warmth of her grip and the strength behind her conviction melted his resolve. "Yet together," he mumbled, more to himself than her. They exchanged a glance filled with an unspoken understanding. With a heavy heart, he knew that this was just the beginning of a daunting journey. One that could either forge them closer or shatter everything they had worked to rebuild. "Let us go," he said at last, stepping towards the door, heart racing as they moved into the world waiting outside. But the question lingered in Jack's mind like a dark cloud. Could a shared burden bring them closer, or would it tear them apart in ways they couldn't yet imagine? As they stepped into the night, the weight of uncertainty hung over them, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the coming hours would change everything. What awaited them at the hospital was unknown, but deep down, he sensed that a pivotal moment was near, one that would challenge their love in ways they had never faced before. Would they be ready for whatever was to come? The drive to the hospital was filled with an uneasy silence. Jack kept glancing at Sarah, who was biting her lower lip, lost in her thoughts. The city lights blurred past them, streaks of color that echoed the chaos in his mind. He felt the weight of their unspoken fears pressing down, but he couldn't bring himself to break it. As they pulled into the hospital parking lot, Jack's pulse quickened. The building loomed ahead, stark and sterile under the harsh fluorescent lights. It was a place where hope battled despair, and he didn't know which side he was on. "Jack," Sarah said softly, her voice slicing through the thickness in the air. "What do you want me to do? Just tell me how I can help." He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Just be there. Maybe hold my hand or something. I don't know." The vulnerability in his words felt foreign yet freeing. They walked through the lobby, the smell of antiseptic filling the air. Every step felt heavier than the last. Jack could barely focus on anything except the sound of his heart beating relentlessly in his chest. He could still hear his sister's sobs echoing in his mind, a haunting reminder of what lay ahead. Would she be okay? Would he be okay? When they reached the nurse's station, Jack took the lead. "I'm looking for my mom," he said, urgency threading through his voice. The nurse looked up, her expression morphing into one of understanding. "Last name?" she asked, typing with practiced ease. "Collins." "Helen Collins," he replied, the name hanging in the air, filled with memories, her laughter, her warmth, her bravery as she fought to keep the family together. "Room 412. She's in recovery." "Just had a procedure," the nurse said, offering a reassuring smile. "Recovery," Jack whispered, but his heart sank. They never used that word lightly. As they walked down the hall, the fluorescent lights hummed above, illuminating the stark white walls. He could hear the sounds around him, the beeping machines, distant voices, and the shuffling of feet. Each sound pulled at him, amplifying the anxiety building in his chest. He knew he needed to be strong for his sister, but he felt himself stretching thin. When they reached the door of room 412, he hesitated, his hand frozen above the handle. "Jack? You okay?" Sarah's voice was a soft anchor, gently pulling him back from the edge. "No, I'm not okay," he admitted, finally meeting her gaze. What if she doesn't recognize me? What if I can't help her?" The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, revealing the fear he had tucked away. "Then we'll face it together," Sarah soothed, her small hand fluttering to his. "Just remember, no matter what happens, you aren't alone. And your mom, she'll feel your love." He nodded, taking a shaky breath. Gathering courage, he turned the handle and stepped into the room. The sight of his mother lying in the hospital bed, pale and fragile, struck him like a punch to the gut. The tubes and machines surrounding her reminded him of how vulnerable life could be. And standing beside her was his sister, her eyes red and swollen, brimming with unshed tears. "Hey, Mom," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He stepped closer, swallowing the lump in his throat. "Jack," she murmured, her voice feeble but alive. As he moved closer, a flicker of recognition crossed her face, and something warm spread in his chest. Was it hope? A glimmer of the bond shared despite this chaos? Suddenly, he felt Sarah's presence behind him, her warmth touching his back, anchoring him in that moment. They were in this together. But at that exact moment, the door swung open again, and a doctor stepped in, expression serious and urgent. "We need to talk about her condition." Jack's breath caught, his heart sinking as dread settled deep within him. This was about to get much harder. Would they be able to face the outcome they dreaded most? Would they still have each other after all this? The weight of the truth pressed in around them, and Jack braced himself, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. What would the physician reveal that would change everything? Jack felt the air thicken as the doctor's eyes fell on him, expectant yet somber. He glanced quickly at Sarah, whose hand gripped his tightly, anchoring him in an ocean of uncertainty. This was at the moment where they would learn the fate of the one person who had given him everything. "Mr. Collins," the doctor began, his voice steady yet layered with concern. "Your mother has stabilized for the moment, but the surgery revealed complications we need to discuss." "What does that mean?" Jack's voice was a strained whisper, the world narrowing around the weight of his words. The doctor took a beat, searching Jack's eyes for understanding. "There are multiple issues we need to address. We could do more procedures, but they come with risk and we aren't sure how much time we have left." At that moment, The gravity of truth crashed down on Jack like a wave, submerging him in heart-wrenching reality. The thought that time might slip away like grains of sand through his fingers sent panic slicing through him. "I need to be with her," Jack breathed out. He stepped closer toward his mother, drawn to her frail form, the tubes a stark reminder of her fragility. "Can I talk to her? Can she hear me?" "Absolutely," the doctor replied, pausing as he placed a compassionate hand on Jack's shoulder. "But I urge you to prepare for what might come next. You'll need to be ready to make some tough decisions." Jack nodded, feeling the storm in his chest churn wildly. Turning to where his mother rested, he pulled Sarah closer, feeling the warmth of her body reassure him. "Mom, I'm here," he said softly, feeling words rushing out that he hadn't realized were pent up within him. "I love you. You've always fought for us, and now it's my turn." Her eyelids fluttered slightly, recognition breaking through her haze. "Jack, my boy," she murmured, her voice a fragile whisper that sent shivers down his spine. Jack's throat tightened. He brushed the back of his fingers against her cheek, feeling feathers of softness under his touch. "I'm here. I promise I'll take care of everything." Suddenly, Sarah squeezed his hand tighter. He caught her eye, the glimmer of tears pooling in her pupils. "You're not alone," she whispered, her voice low yet steady. Martha smiled faintly, a ghost of her vibrant self. "You always had such a big heart, Jack." Jack could feel the tears building up in his chest, threatening to spill over. "You taught me that, Mama. You showed me how to love. And I'm going to hold on to that love." As he spoke, he could see their shared memories flicker before him, her laughter in the cornfields, Sunday dinners, all the sacrifices she made for him. It reminded him of who he was, where he came from, and what truly mattered. But dread crept back into the periphery of his mind. The looming decisions hovered like a thick fog. It struck him suddenly that as he sat there with the weight of his mother's illness and his promise to Sarah, all parts of his life were crashing together, creating a tapestry of challenges. "Jack," Sarah urged gently, pulling him back to the present. "You're going to have to share this weight. You can't do everything alone anymore. Let us face this together, for your mom and for us." With renewed strength and clarity echoing from her words, Jack straightened his back. "You're right. I can't do this alone, and I don't want to. Thank you for being here, Sarah. Let us find a way to balance it all." Just as the thread of hope began stitching back the fragments of their family, the doctor re-entered the room. "I can arrange for a family meeting to discuss next steps," he said, his voice calm yet urgent. "We will explore options together." Jack felt his heart clench again, this time around fear mixed with hope. "Yes, let us do that. I want to be transparent. I want to understand every choice." He turned to his mother, determination swelling within him. "We'll figure this out, Mama. I'm not going anywhere. We're a family, and we're going to fight together." Tears streamed freely down his face as he realized the truth of his heart. Family wasn't just about blood, it was about love, commitment, and standing by each other, even when times were tough. And for the first time, the fog of uncertainty began to lift, revealing a path forward. In the following moments, the room filled with soft conversations of options and hopes, and Jack wasn't just in the moment, he was present in the very essence of all that mattered. He was a son, a husband, and excitedly or nervously an expectant father. He was building a future. And amidst the chaos, Jack felt Sarah's hand still clutching his, and in that warmth, he found his strength. Together, they could weather the storm. With each decision to come, they would face it side by side, embracing the uncertainties while solidifying their bond. As their family watched over Martha, just like the heart of the community instinctively rallied together, Jack found hope in the idea that love could, indeed, conquer all. The journey had only just begun, but there was light at the end of that tunnel, and they were walking toward it together. Now, dear friends, this is your moment to take action too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these profound journeys. Comment down below your reactions and feelings about this conclusion. You need to share your thoughts with us. And for a true fan of heartfelt stories, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. Thank you for being a part of this journey.